Hi, everyone. Welcome to Art and Talk. Art and Talk is an online interviewing platform for artists to share their art and their creativity and their passion. We embrace all the arts, the traditional arts and the spiritual arts, to bring you diverse and quality interviews to watch and to be inspired by. If you're new to us, thank you so much for tuning in. If you've been watching us for a while, thank you. We're grateful for your support. I'm Leslie Sue, the host for Art and Talk. And this week we're celebrating Spirit Week, and it's a three-part series, and we're going to be looking at the art of spirit. So today is part one, and our guest is the founder of a New Earth movement, and we're going to be touching upon the upcoming summer solstice, and we'll be finding out all about what a New Earth movement is all about. So again, thank you so much for being with us. And I'd like to welcome our guest for today, Nina Palmieri. Hi, Nina. Welcome.
Hi, Leslie. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored to be here.
Oh, wow. It's a blessing for us to connect with you. And we're so excited to find out about a New Earth movement and your insights into the upcoming solstice and all that you provide in terms of classes and whatnot for a New Earth movement. Why don't we start a little bit on your background, Nina?
Okay, great. Yeah, so as you just shared, I'm the founder of a New Earth movement, which was a culmination, I would say, of all of the things that had given me my training to come to a moment of an offering. And so that ties in with my background. And one of the things that I feel is pertinent is that, for me, I always was a seeker. I always felt very driven to know that there was, like, I knew something in me, which I think we all have, this inner knowing that maybe is a little bit more clouded for some of us, but that there was more to life than what I was told. There was more to, there was an infinite universal consciousness that I would have insights into as a young girl, just laying out and seeing the stars or connecting with the trees or the rocks. I didn't really have the language for it, but I had a knowing, and I had an aching in my heart and my soul. Even, as a young kid, I was immersed in Mother Nature a lot, which was a gift. I had a beautiful family that held me with love and acceptance, and they brought me to nature a lot, which I would say really facilitated that knowing somehow. It I would say it even made it more like of a pull and a mysterious desire to know more, because as we know, in Mother Nature, it's a beautiful reflection, and where we get to get into the stillness where God resides. So that was my experience. And as I was growing up, I look back in hindsight and I realized that I was even praying because I was asking these questions, like, there's more, and what is that? And even when I'm having this memory, even in high school, a lot of people were, we'd be at these big parties and I'd find myself outside sitting near a tree, like this longing. And so that was started as in my early years. And just, as I got older, I started to really fulfill that desire by going in the direction of wanting to learn about holistic health, wanting to study with indigenous teachings and native teachings, which brought me to a medicine woman very, very young. And she really was a powerhouse of kind of sparking that and giving me reflections and giving me assignments, bringing me into her sweat lodge and really pushing up against some of my fears. And so I kind of cracked and opened up more, and went into, in college, I got my master's in health education, which was a very big opening for me. I had the chairman of the department was ahead of his time. And he really spoke to my spirit. I did independent studies. I took every class he would offer. And he validated a lot of what my inner knowing was and facilitated this way of connecting with my dreams and my sleeping dreams, and just really pushed the edge of what society was telling me. And so that catapulted me even bigger. I went and became a school teacher. I moved out west. I really always dreamt of the desert, of pyramids, of all these things that I was dreaming of as a little girl started to manifest really quickly as a young adult. And I found myself in Sedona, Arizona, moving from the East Coast, which was a very big deal. I moved, I came from a very traditional Italian family. We all lived on the same street. And for me to move out of the tribe was a big deal. And I would say by taking that leap of faith and doing that was really the step of me learning who Nina was outside of the box of that conditioning. So it catapulted me into another awakening.
Mhm.
And then I continued to study with shamans and I was a school teacher. I taught health education. I used a lot of self-help books or love and health or holistic health. And it was really feeding that part of me that was desiring to share a message that was greater. And then there became a moment where I realized it wasn't enough. I realized something was just stale. And I loved the children. I wasn't teaching high school at that time. I loved teaching health, but I knew there was this little voice in me that said, there's more. It kept saying, coming up. And it said, you're going to come back to teaching someday, and just in a different way. And because I was in the school system, which was lovely, brand new school in town, and I worked hard to be able to even attain that position. But I needed to move out of that box once again, which the same day that I resigned as a school teacher, I got accepted into a mystery school with Don Miguel Ruiz and Donna Barbara Emery's. And I studied for about a decade. And that, I would say, I attribute to a big part of my awakening, where it really cleared out the conditioning. It gave me awareness to understand how to operate with all of the things that I just shared, this inner knowing, this understanding that there was more. I didn't have the awareness to know how to unravel the conditioning. I just knew something was needing to be looked at or resolved, for lack of better ways of saying it. And this training gave me that. Not only did it give me the tools, it gave me an opportunity to be in the presence of great teachers that really reflected to me and helped me to pull me into the depth and the truth of who I am, and awakening to this pure perception. And I'll just sum that up with that was the entry point into really me being of service, of bringing my gifts to the world. I worked with botanicals, I worked with rite of passage programs for the youth. I started doing spiritual counseling. I had really a gift to see into the psyche and to help unravel. But with that combination, with what I learned from the mystery school, it was this beautiful art, this dance of being able to step into something that was very unique, way of bringing a model of transformation and healing to the world. And that's where a New Earth movement came into form. There was some point on this journey that I'm sharing where I received a huge download of how to bring all of these things that I had been learning and unlearning, how to bring it, how to create a model for transformation and healing and liberation ultimately to humanity.
Mhm. Wow, that is such a beautiful unfolding, Nina. And it's interesting because you always had the right people and circumstances coming into your life at the exact right moment. And it's so interesting because you have such a blend of traditional and untraditional, because you did go through the traditional school system and learned through that system, but you also learned more indigenous, as you were saying, and kind of communing with nature, and kind of getting into a more like medicine shaman uh, kind of exploration and knowledge. And then also you were a teacher, and it seems like you've always honored your voice, your inner voice. It seems, Nina, you've always paid attention to it, and you didn't dismiss it. You honored it, and it seems like you've had this just continual, like beautiful, like almost like unobstructed unfolding in your journey.
Yeah, I mean, I love what you're saying. It's a really beautiful combination too, if you think about it, to have the experience of being in the world, but then learning how to not be of the world so that you could really step into something greater, have compassion and understanding and experience. So that's the first thing that I'll say. And the other is that I feel that, that calling in my soul, brought to me the perfect openings, but it was because I was yearning for that. And so where we put our attention, life grows. So I was looking, and really, we're praying all the time. I like to talk about that. Our life is a prayer. So in some way, I was praying for this all the time, to really remember who I was and to bring in these beautiful teachers and reflections and enhancing my opportunity to grow and develop. So it was really a beautiful combination. It's really true.
Yeah. And so with the New Earth movement, as you began to create this, tell us a little bit about the origins, and tell us about the different, kind of like the vision and the mission of a New Earth movement.
Yeah. Well, it was at a point in my life where I was already really of service. There was a point before that, maybe a couple years before that, where I really received a message that now it's time to serve. And everything really changed because, as I said, I was such a seeker. But there was like this valve that switched, and it was like to externalize what was coming through me. And because there was a point where I was really in a lot of hibernation and really self-study. And also, I want to add this, there was hardships in my life too, particularly with my physical health, that really humbled me. So I had this combination of really of catapulting me into letting go and yearning to know God more. So all that was this recipe of this unfolding. And so when I was really immersed in that study and in that letting go, there was a point where it said time to serve. And so I started to really, I listen, because I really listen to the voice of the divine. And so I did that for quite a while. And then there was a moment where something kind of cracked open. I was moving from one platform of offering into getting cracked open to seeing how it was time for me to step into something greater, and that everything that I had done up to that point had prepared me to bring this model of transformation. And that's when I received, I was just thinking about this the other day. It was actually on the island of Kauai. If anybody's ever been there, it's just so amazing. But I was blessed to be there in that moment where I had the first initial download of a New Earth movement. And this mission is really, it's a large mission, way greater than Nina could ever even have tried to formulate with my intellect. It was really divinely inspired. And when I had the initial download, I would say it was about 2 months of getting information, receiving clarity, and of how to bring this foundation to the world. I received a message about 7 legacies, which is part of the New Earth movement, and each legacy is like a portal, a doorway to get into the center of who we are, to come back to the home of the truth of who we are and heal the illusion of our separation from God, and stand in our power to become empowered to discover the sacred blueprint of our own medicine, aligning with universal law, with Mother Nature, and then having an actualization of, after that happens, how to be of service to the world. And when you're in service to the world in that way, inevitably you're part of a new earth movement, because we're creating a new earth. And so that was the transmission. And then it was, I obeyed. As I said, that little voice is like, it's important to me. It's really the love of my life is the divine, our creator. And so when I hear something, I really is like, okay, I feel blessed to hear this, and I'm going to listen and obey. And so I would put one foot, I was very innocent, I'll say that too. You know, there is this maybe innocence or purity that is like, okay, I want to serve, let me just do this, but not being able to see what was ahead from that, you know, like maybe the roadblocks that would come in, or the magnitude of it. I just, okay, let's do this. Okay. And so I did. I put one foot in front of the other. I built a foundation. At one point, I was able to actually articulate all of this onto paper, you know, the best I could, in creating a website, which is huge. And then with the website, I realized when I was trying to encapsulate all of the information that it was too much to even put on the website. So I wrote an enhanced version, which is our ebook. And it's about a New Earth movement and the 7 legacies and the model of transformation. And just that ebook in itself is like a transmission where when you read it, you start to open and have the unlocking that happened for me. That's the intent behind it. But inevitably, just by that information being down on that, in that form, gives some sort of a structure to destructure someone and to tap in to their heart and to their spirit. And there's the 12 principles, which is under the legacy of love, which the 12 principles are like, you know, they're also these anchors, these pillars to help you to, each one could be a practice to come home to yourself. It helps us to come back into connection with universal law and with the truth. And so it goes a little bit more in detail. And then through these legacies, there's different ways where people could enter into the portal of a New Earth movement and have a self-study. I'm, I guess, cautious to say that, because it's not so the kind of study that maybe we're used to in the world. It's more of a way in which you can learn and understand the conditioning that and the obstacles that stand in the way of who you truly are. And so there's reflections, there's transmissions, there's earth-based teachings, ceremonies, rituals, and wisdom teachings, which is something that I really value, because that was a big part of the mystery school for me. As I said earlier, the awareness. So through our legacy of awareness, there's a plethora of teachings that help somebody to access their truth, to unlearn, and simple truths too, nothing so complicated. Mm-hmm. Something that can help to flicker that inspiration within you to remember who you are, and just help to shift your perception just a tiny bit, and that perception opens you up to the infinite. So that's kind of it in a little snapshot of our movement, and opportunities for people to really come and to heal, to remember, and to take ownership, and to go out in the world and be part of something more meaningful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what a beautiful mission and a beautiful vision. And all of this you received from the divine, how to literally orchestrate, organize, implement, the body of knowledge, what it was going to constitute, was all given to you from the divine.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
And when you receive the knowledge uh, from the divine, Nina, is that just a knowing? Do you have any type of like a visual, correlations to it? Do you hear a thing? If you could just share a little bit about how you connect in with the divine, how you receive.
Yeah. Well, as I started this off, there was that little inner knowing, and that, in hindsight, I started to see what was really happening. And then when I went through this mystery school, or even in all my encounters in life, when I had an encounter with the truth, there's something that happens that's very humbling, where the identification with the form of who you think you are kind of takes the back seat, and something greater comes in. And sometimes it's a soft whisper, sometimes it's a vision, like a visual, sometimes it's in a sleeping dream. And I feel that I had enough of experience at that point to be able to recognize, the whispers from the divine that were guiding me. And it didn't happen just in that one moment was a huge download. But then, as I said, there was direction, constant direction, and steering me. And I would say that the ingredient that is important was that I was very humble and willing, and I understood that Nina had to step out of the way in order to receive. We all have this receptive nature. We all are the divine. We are children of God and children of the Son, and that's our spirit is made up of that frequency of our creator. So for Nina to step aside and to listen to that frequency was part of my training, part of my fostering, to be able to dial that in. So to answer that question, I wanted to share that because I think it's really important that we all have that ability, and we all look at our life, and there's moments when that happens, whether it's when we hike a beautiful mountain and we see the sunset, or we're moved by kindness from someone else, or giving birth, or even the death of a sudden death of a loved one. Like, we get cracked open to everything that we think we knew, and we start to connect with something greater. And fortunately, my experience with rituals and native teachings and everything was helping to facilitate that remembering and how to do that. So for me, it was that soft whisper of infinity, but it also was dreams, also was little visuals, or no and yes, just being open to pure perception. And perception comes in different ways for everyone. And I can't say that it's one way for me. It's become more of a natural way of living, to be able to connect with this pure perception and be able to know when I'm being moved by the divine. And that's part of the teaching too of a New Earth movement, is to help guide somebody to that, because we all crave that. And in the silence, as I said, is where it is. So if we can quiet the mind, let go and tap into this, we all have access to this inner knowing.
Yeah, and it's so beautiful. I love what you're sharing and what the New Earth Movement stands for. And I pulled out 3 words that were from your website that I think kind of consolidate all that you've been beautifully expressing about what a New Earth Movement is about. And it's about healing, and it's about initiation, and it's also about the activations, as you were saying, and the transmissions.
Yeah. There's so much I could say about all of that, but yeah, it's a portal. There's a strong intent behind a New Earth movement. So once you sign up inside of you, meaning you just say yes and you move in this direction, there is something that's reaching out to you saying, I'm here. There's an activation for healing, there's transmissions, there's the ultimate intention to help you to awaken, to activate that blueprint of your sacred medicine, to reflect through our offerings. There's a clear reflection. We work to do that. My husband and myself and our crew that's gone through a lot of this training to wake up more to the truth of who we are, to hold a container that is really filled with love. I would say that's another word. It's really important, love. And in the 12 principles, there's principles help us to open up to love, whether it's kindness, patience, selfless service, all these things to help to unravel and to move in a direction to discover love, which is who we really are.
Yeah, yeah, everything brings us right back to love.
Mhm.
You've given us a great foundation of your background, your spiritual journey, and what a New Earth movement is about. Let's focus on the summer solstice, Nina. And I know you're having a special event with the New Earth movement. So we have a flyer we can go ahead and take a look at and have you tell us what it's about.
Great. Yeah, I got such a big smile when you said that, and I realized that summer solstice is one of my favorite times. So this is the Return of the Light, our series, summer solstice series, where there's an hour audio transmission, and usually there's the transmission and a guided meditation or prayer to help one to unravel and connect with the moment of this time of the sacred cycle, really the return of the light. And then we do a 2-hour ritual on Saturday where we take people into and actualize an experience to really refine the consciousness that we are. And so this class, we're offering this to any of your viewers that are watching this. It starts tonight, which is Tuesday, and we're offering this class for free. If you miss it tonight live, you can go onto our website tomorrow, Wednesday, and there'll be a code, Gift of Light, where you can get that class for free. And then if you want to join us on Saturday, you have an opportunity to sign up for that. And so the summer solstice is an amazing opportunity. I think we're all waiting for this, the return of the light, the birth of the light, the time where we've been really, there's been a cultivation of this light through all of the cycles. We begin in the fall equinox and we go through a whole journey. And now it's the time where we really can actualize this pure consciousness and really work to step, like I was saying before, where Nina knows enough to step behind or aside to make room for Creator. This is the teachings of this moment to help us to shift our focus and our attention into something greater that is alive within us and all around us, so that we could start operating from the light and from pure consciousness, and again, from love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds like such two beautiful classes that you're going to offer. Return of the Light. Now, specifically, we know it's cyclical. Within our kind of earth-based cycles of the summer solstice. Is there anything in particular, Nina, about this summer solstice for this year of 2021 that you'd like to share with us?
I think that's a great question, because we teach these, we do rituals and teachings on this points every year. I love to do this. It's been really a passion of mine, because it helps us to get, like you said, cyclical living. It helps us to become connected with all of creation, as above, so below. So we're in this portal. And so there's teachings and transmissions directly related to this moment in time. So every year we have a summer solstice, and now it's, as you said, 2021, and we're in a different moment in time than we were last year. So how is that relevant to our own awakening at this time? How can we work with this light to move beyond this duality consciousness that has been kind of escalating at this time, because there's an opportunity for a rebirth and the birth of the light that's coming underneath the duality consciousness. But not a lot of us know that. A lot of us are stuck in taking the sides of the duality consciousness, or stuck in the fear that's been escalated in this moment in time. That they need a little direction to know how to, in this moment, right here today,
Mhm.
how to actualize this light and how to work for the benefit of our own evolution of consciousness, which inevitably will contribute to the greater whole of the birthing of this new world, which I feel that if we're paying attention, that's what's happening right now. There's a great opportunity, and it's, I would say, more critical than ever to really get ourselves in alignment with the truth and with the light. So it's always specific to this moment in time. The transmissions will come in, and everybody, most everybody that takes these classes, I hear this constantly. I feel like you were talking to me. I feel like you were talking directly to me. Well, there's a message that's coming through that is speaking directly to this moment in time. And somehow, because God is so gracious, this languaging and this messaging comes in to meet you where you're at in this moment in time, to unravel you and to help facilitate an awakening.
Mhm. So part of being the founder and the leader of a New Earth movement is also tapping into this guidance for the whole, so to speak, for those who will be in this class or other classes, workshops that you offer. So that's kind of a big responsibility in a sense. Or how do you, how do you view that? Because you're bringing in, and as you said, you're having responses back to you where it's like, wow, that really speaks to me in my life right now. That's, what I needed to hear. That's really helping me on my evolutionary path right now. So part of your purpose, so to speak, is to actually be that channel, to be that voice of the now, to help guide those that are in your community, and will be attracted to your community and will participate in your services.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see it as a blessing because it helps somebody to recognize that they have the power to take responsibility for their life. Um, Without the awareness, we don't know that. We don't understand why we're suffering. We don't understand why we keep going in this habitual patterns that are creating more division rather than unifying ourselves. And so the messages that come through help people to let go of that victimhood consciousness, or the reactivity of that keeps you divided internally. And so, once we start to take ownership and start to heal our own inner world, inevitably the outer world changes because our perception changes, and then we're really part of we're taking a really great leap in being part of the transformation as a whole. But we can't do it unless we do it within ourselves. And I think we've heard that before, but it's really true. I mean, it's the more that we're able to heal our inner world, find healing in our own mind, and move out of the way, we raise our vibration, we raise our frequency, and simply we become more kind, more loving, more compassionate. And how can that not be part of healing? That's what we need. And so as that is happening, even walking the earth, our vibration is going to be part of a frequency that is raising the vibration that is being felt. Once we start to become open and aware that we are part of all of creation, we start to have more reverence for our earth and for each other. And that becomes inspiring, that becomes part of this greater potential for healing the greater good of the whole of all of creation.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. So this healing, this receiving of more light and awareness really helps to propel and catalyst, be a catalyst for all this transformation. And as you were saying, there's so many different things that springboard from it, whether it's being more kind, being more generous, just having, more knowledge. So it's just huge, vast springboard for just bringing healing and awareness and more truth into all these areas of our life.
Absolutely. And I think we're all craving that. I could say that that's something that um, if we took a poll and we ask all our loved ones or even strangers on the street, I think we're all wanting that. We all want to be more authentic. We all want to be more happy. You know, we want to be part of the connection of life. We want to recognize we don't we want to realize that we have the power within us. You know, it's like it's really activating something that already is. We already are that. We are this light, we are love and our truest nature. And then all of these like filigrees of conditioning and wounding create that filter in the teaching that I come from. It's like a smoky mirror. So the reflection becomes very distorted. And so I think we're all yearning to clear out that smoky mirror and let the love come out, allow ourselves to live our life fully, to be happy, to celebrate life. And so, yeah, it's a beautiful offering, I would say, in a beautiful way for us to go forward, especially at this time on the planet, to give us some hope and inspiration.
Mhm. Yes, yes, absolutely. Nina, you've mentioned several times about ritual and ceremony connected to a lot of your training and those that you encounter that were great teachers to you, and then also, what you in turn teach. Directed to the summer solstice with these two classes coming up, you mentioned that there will be some ritual and ceremony. Would you be able to share with us a little bit about what will take place in regard to the solstice coming up?
Yes. You know, it's always a mystery too, because when we start to, my husband and I, we start to receive as it gets closer, we get more dialed into what it is that is wanting to be brought forth. But we create a container where we bring ritual, song, whatever it is, depending on if we're in person or on Zoom. In this moment, we're doing this as a Zoom ritual because a lot of the people in our community and are all over the country. So we want to figure out, create a way to connect us. So, you know, we invite everyone to wear the color white, to bring a candle, and as we are invoking the power of the light to light that candle, sometimes we'll have a fire, and as I said, we bring in medicine songs that really, they're called medicine songs for a real reason. The actual tonality and the words are bringing in the medicine of the creating the fabric of the ritual. And so, yeah, and then the rest of it will be a mystery because each time that we do it is a little bit different, but we'll invoke the light of the sun and the pure consciousness of each individual and the collective to help to alchemize the illusion of our separation from the light. So everything that we do in the ritual has that intent behind it, whether it's song, fire, candle, yeah, connection with ourselves, or through our teachings.
Mhm. Wow, that sounds great. So beautiful. Nina, I'm wondering, are there any rituals on a daily walk, your daily spiritual walk that you engage in that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that just came through was, well, first of all, that I opened up with saying that in the quietude is where we find God. So not trying to shut the mind off, because when we do that, we create, there's a lot of control and the mind gets louder, but something where we can rest into the present moment, whether that's through our breath, whether that's through perception, like looking out of our eyes and seeing Mother Nature, opening up our senses, connecting with our heart, connecting with the presence within us. So quieting down, letting go of all of these preoccupations with what happened a minute ago or what we think we're projecting will happen in the next moment. That takes us out of the presence and the present moment time. Present moment time is where this light exists. It exists no matter what, however, but where we can access it when we're more present and out of the way. And as we're doing that, as we're getting more quiet and waking up to the present moment, we forget. I mean, we hear this teaching all the time, but we do forget. We get engaged in being busy or having to take care of this or getting ourselves into the what we want to accomplish and judging ourselves for not doing it. We really kind of override the present moment. So any way to step into the present moment, to just stop and relax into what is right here, right now. This opportunity of speaking with you is the present moment. And I will add to that, that kind of thought that dropped in was to ask yourself the question, who am I really? Who am I really? And just by asking that question and getting quiet, there's a sensation, a presence that starts to take the forefront of our existence, and we start to recognize it, and we can cultivate that by just being present with it and recognizing there's more to who we think we are than the identity that we've been given.
Yes. And as you were saying that, there was such like a settling in and such a peace and a quietude. I could feel that energy coming from you. Um, so this whole like connecting in with the light, this whole openness, this living from authenticity, being in the present moment, opening to the divine, learning who we truly are, is really quite a poetic way of living. Do you agree, Nina?
Yeah, I do. I think it's really beautiful and sacred. And if we look at Mother Nature, it's reflecting this to us all of the time. There's just, my teacher used to say humans are the only animal that keep judging themselves over and over and over and over again for one thing that they did. And in that judgment, we are, we're missing the boat of the depth of who we really are. And we are that when we're yearning for that. And so to be able to find a pathway of simplicity to step into that is a beautiful, beautiful way of living our life, of embodying the truth of who we are.
Yes, yes, absolutely, Nina. I'd like to, as we have a few more minutes left, I noticed on your bio on your website, which is beautiful, by the way, and you have a lot of beautiful images, particularly on your donate page of different travels you've taken students and people on, and all sorts of images of your different rituals, which are quite beautiful. Um, on your bio, it says that you feel very connected into the Divine Mother. Can you share with us your connection with the Divine Mother?
Yeah. You see the smile that comes again. Well, it was a beautiful journey to arrive to the embodiment and the love of the mother. It was back when I was younger, and I think you could read it in that biography. It was recommended to me to do it in a story form, and there's a lot of information on there, but it was an initiation to wake up to the truth of who the mother really is. And there was a point in my life where I was getting, well, I was raised Catholic, so I will say that I had an aversion. I think the old story, like we kind of go like this because of any kind of religion that puts you in a box, or there's dogma and there's fear and shame and all these things. So I kind of was like this and went 100% towards the indigenous path, which I knew my soul spoke to me. And then there was a point in my early adulthood, very young on, where I started getting messages from the Divine Mother. And I was hearing to follow the rose. I was hearing to make rosary beads. And that's when I was like, what? However, I keep coming back to this. There was this curiosity, this humility, and this desire to be deeply connected to the divine and to obey. And so I knew that voice was not my mind. I knew it was guidance, and I had sleeping dreams about it. And it became a pilgrimage and an initiation to wake up to really the essence of what the rose is, which is this pure, unwavering, unconditional, cosmic love that has no beginning and no end. And the mother she is formless, and she's come to the earth. And there's a lot of stories of the apparitions of the mother, but in different cultures, people receive her in a different way, whether it's Guadalupe or the Virgin Mary, or the White Buffalo Calf woman, or Kuan Yin. And my sense is that the different cultures saw this form through the eyes of their culture, but the message was the same: to bring the message of peace, to unify humanity into love, and into really the feminine principle of the divine. So for me, it was a pilgrimage of unraveling the conditioning and the association that I had on what the Divine Mother meant, that it was even the form of something, and it's so beyond. It's the formless, it's the presence of this love that we could say has a feminine principle, and it's what we're craving. I often say this: it's like we're at the time of the return of the mother, because we've gotten so out of balance. The imbalanced patriarchal society has been going on forever, for eons. That's created an imbalance within us, whether we're a female or male, doesn't matter. But we're craving these principles to come back to, which helps to get us into the quietude of the divine, which helps us to recognize that we're part of the web of creation. And those qualities are exemplified through the Divine Mother: the receptivity, the love, the patience, the power, the voice. There's just something about it that is it's very telltaling to this moment in time, where we can come back to worshiping. When I say worship, I mean really having reverence for the mother, our Mother Earth, our celestial mother, and again, the feminine principles of God.
Yeah, that's so beautiful, Nina. Thank you for sharing that. It seems like most of us are in this like healing bubble, and decluttering all this programming, conditioning, and reconnecting with our divinity and with the light. So my question is, once we kind of move through this to a great extent, in a large capacity, of people here on Earth, what do you foresee after that? Do you have any visions, any intuition in terms of, once we kind of get through this like healing, then what do you see in terms of a new Earth?
Well, I mean, again, we have to stay in present moment time. I think that could be a setup for us to look so far in the future rather than this present moment. And I think the most important thing is that we have free will. And I think that's important too, that we can make a choice to be part of this ushering in of a new Earth, of having more harmony and more balance and more connection with ourselves and with all of creation. And so it takes takes the desire, it takes action, and it takes the willingness to be able to do that. And so I want to say that first, that there is free will, and there is a yearning that we all have, and there is an unknown to it. We don't know what it's going to look like on the other side. This moment in time here on Earth is temporary. Our life on the Earth is temporary, but while we are here, let's make this path worthwhile, that we can do our part to remember the truth of who we are, to connect with all of creation, to open up that domain in the kingdom of love, bringing heaven to earth, so that we can be part of the transformation that is. There's huge potential for us to wake up as a whole world together, for the Mother Earth, for humanity, in order to ensure the continuity of humanity, and also for the future generations to come. So I think if we do our part, we can help people to come back into the center, come back into the center of all of creation, and be able to live more in harmony, to live more like we're saying with cyclical living, to have reverence for Mother Nature, for all of creation, and ultimately to have, you know, reverence for the divine and for each other. So I see it as this huge potential to come back into having harmony and having respect for all of life, and in doing that to be able to ensure, you know, that we exist as a species, and that we can create this for the future generations to come, something where we could be more connected, because we're losing connection. You know, there's so many distractions in the world, and there's like a strong clamp, almost we could say, that's a magnetic pull to keep us distracted, like the little you know, the quick fixes, all these things that are kind of trying to pull us away from the truth of who we are. And I think we have to recognize that, do our part, so that we can create this beautiful dance and rebirth of what already exists.
Yes. Nina, we're getting close to having to wrap up the show. Is there anything that we haven't touched upon with the New Earth movement that you'd like to share?
Well, there's a lot of offerings that we have. I will say again that the legacies are 7 legacies, are different portals to come in to arrive at the same place. And it's a big mission, as I said, but if you get to find yourself inspired by this, if you go to our website, you can see certain ways in which you can become involved and spark that remembering within you, the wisdom teachings through the legacy of awareness. One of the legacies is the legacy of peace, which it really is about the Divine Mother, the return of the Divine Mother, and how to get involved in, you know, the legacy of intent, which is really learning how to pray and waking up to recognizing that we are intent and how to use it for the good of the whole. So there's many different ways. It could be a little overwhelming, but you could reach out to us, you could ask us, and we really do our best to try to find a way in which you can feel a resonance and walk through this doorway to be touched by certain areas that can really speak to you. Like the classes cover a range of topics, self-love to addictions, to the cyclical living. And so there's all these different ways, and you know, we're all unique, we're all different, and we all have certain things that we want to work through in a certain resonance and a calling that we have. So I feel like that's why it's such a grand vision, so that we can, it's very simple in a sense too, but there's a scope, a range that can help to connect anybody in to remember the truth of who they are through these offerings.
Yes, beautiful offering, and such a beautiful vision and mission with the New Earth movement. Nina, we're going to need to close out the show. We'd like
Okay.
to offer you the closing comments and let us know how we can stay connected with you and the New Earth movement.
Okay. Well, first, I'm so grateful to be here to speak on behalf of the opportunity for us to wake up to the truth of who we are. I know that we all are the truth, and we all somehow were yearning to be that perfect reflection of the Creator. And so if you found yourself here, welcome. I welcome you, and with open arms, and our community does. And if you desire to be part of something meaningful for your own awakening, come and find us. We also have a prayer circle that we started about a year ago when there was a shutdown, and we decided, well, let's do something since we're not able to be together in person. And it's just, even though we're back doing things together, there's still this momentum that we created. Every Wednesday night we do a prayer circle, and anybody who feels a call to pray and be part of a prayer to unify with one heart, one mind, for yourself and for the planet, please call in and share it with the world. So we can talk a little bit about that. Maybe, is there a way to put that up, or shall I just speak about it? The link for that.
Do you want to just speak about it, and we'll make sure we include it in the description section with the video.
Yeah. So it's every Wednesday night. There's I think the best thing is to reach out through email, a newearthawareness@gmail.com, if you want to get on the list to be part of the prayer, and we send you the Zoom link, and it's every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And we're really growing a beautiful group of prayer warriors, and it's how we make a difference in the world. So that's another thing in the ebook. And then our website, a newearthmovement.org. And on that website, you'll be able to browse through the legacies. And if you want to go to the teleclasses and the old classes, that you could purchase the recordings, which are really reasonably priced, and you can infuse yourself with the truth that's under the legacy of awareness. And so, yeah, we're here, and we have open hearts, and we have a strong prayer and intent, and spread the word, and so that we can be part of something greater and meaningful at this time on our planet.
Nina, it has been amazing to connect with you. Thank you so much for sharing your light, sharing your love, your spiritual journey, and sharing all about what a New Earth movement is about. And of course, we have the upcoming solstice. And so much success with these classes and what you're offering, and continued success with the New Earth movement, and all the love and the light and awakening and connectivity that you're bringing to the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Leslie, for this opportunity to be here in this moment.
Thank you so much, Nina. Thank you, everyone, for watching Art and Talk. We appreciate the time that you take to watch us. And again, we're celebrating Spirit Week. This was part 1 with the New Earth movement. So stay connected with us, and we'll be bringing you part 2 and part 3 this week. Thank you again, everybody, for watching. Nina, thank you again for being our guest. And we'll talk soon on the next Art and Talk. Until then, be well and be blessed.